want to be the only black guy there.
And we're live.
Stay alive.
What's up, YouTube? How's it going to all my peoples? We're finally giving the people what they want. You guys have asked for it. You have asked for it. Y'all wanted Marriage Stream Part 2, and we are here. We are here to give it to you. We are here with everybody knows Drexel. Boo.
Right.
Everybody knows Drexel. We have Miss CC Davis. Y'all all know Miss CC. How you doing, Miss CC?
Hello. Happy to be here.
All right. Doing her part to get President Trump reelected single-handedly, I might add. All right. And Miss Boricua herself. How are you doing, ma'am? Welcome to Out of the Darkness. Thank you so much.
Happy to be here.
And the only thing that has been asked for more than this stream, all right? So we are, a year and a half into this, right, Soder?
Yeah, thereabouts.
We're about a year and a half into this show of Out of the Darkness. The only thing that has been asked for more than this stream has been everybody wants to know where Q came from. Well, tonight you all find out. We got Mama Q. How you doing, Mama Q? Hello.
Yeah.
Did we lose her?
No.
Oh, she's just really happy.
Oh, there's you.
All right. We got Mama Q, so everybody gets to see why I am the way I am. So, everybody wanted to get a chance to meet you, Mama, and so I told them that they couldn't handle that level of real yet. But if we're gonna have Drex on, we got to bring the real. So I would expect no less. So. Thank you, all you wonderful ladies, for being here. And Drex, are you just getting off of work?
No, so I came to this airport I'm waiting on my brother to pick me up.
Okay.
Yeah, so he should be here any second. So I'll just be I'll be riding in the car talking, and then once I get home, I'll kick him out of the car, and then I'll continue.
All right, sounds good. Sounds
we're
good.
all good to go.
Well, we promised we were going to have you come back and burn you at the stake for your heresy. And so I decided that, why do it myself? Since your grievance is with the female population, especially the black female population, I figured we would have some women of color on here to hear you out, to hear your personal grievances, and to tell you why you are dead wrong. So now that we have kind of planted the seed a little bit,
yep.
As Marvin Gaye said, let's get it on.
Let's get it on.
All right. So all jokes aside, but so Drex, so let me ask you this. So it's been 2 months since we had you on last time. I know you've been really busy. Has your view on marriage changed at all?
Never has, never will.
Never has, never will. Okay.
Yep.
So I don't want to put words in your mouth. I would hate to do that. So I want you to have an opportunity to share your own personal feelings, not only with the chat, because there's people that are watching that may not know you,
yep.
but also for this esteemed panel of women. I want you to have a chance to kind of explain yourself. So what is it about marriage that you don't particularly approve of, first and foremost, and why do you feel that you would never be down for the idea of marriage?
Well, let me say this, though, to make sure that we clear it up.
Yes, sir.
Brother. So to make sure we clear it up, my issue with marriage, as I've actually talked about this with our friend over at Recato Law, right?
Yep.
My dear friend, Nick Recato. My issue with marriage is not marriage in and of itself, right?
Okay.
My issue with marriage is the current definition of marriage in the Western world, right? With the current set of laws in the Western world. You see what I'm saying? So that is with the state. I don't want the state involved in marriage. So the main issue I have then is the state being involved in the contract between men and women. And that regard, and that also includes children, right? So the family court is my real problem with marriage, right? So as you guys saw, Dr. Dre is up for divorce, right? You know about that, Q?
We've talked about it.
Oh, I'm glad you have. And she's looking for $2 million.
No. You and I have talked about it.
Oh, you and I have. Oh, yeah. So for those of you in the chat and you ladies out there, women and the government are the only beneficiaries of men signing the marriage contract in the current state of affairs in the Western world. Only women and the government benefit. There is zero benefit for a man in any form whatsoever.
I need you to elaborate on that. I really want to truly, fully understand it. Can you really explain that to me when you say that he does not benefit? You're talking financially? How do you?
So many women have been divorced, myself included, who benefited negative.
Let me say, what is your name? Rosalina? So, Miss Valdez, there can always be an outlier, right? Like there can always be an Adele who loses financially in a divorce, right? But if you have children as a woman and you do get divorced, the worst thing that can happen to you, most likely worse, is that you get 50-50 custody of your children, right? That's like, for the most part, that would be the worst case scenario, right?
No.
You don't hear women say, I don't get to see my kids. Have you ever heard a woman say they got divorced? Unless she was bat crap crazy, right?
Right, but you're saying but you're saying the worst thing that can happen. I would argue that the worst thing that can happen to a woman who has been divorced is she gets nothing financially in return from the man, and she is raising children by herself, completely, solely, 100% without any assistance from the man. That to me would be the worst case scenario, and it's the majority of divorce.
You have the government though, right? Are there benefits available to single mothers? Yes or no?
Depends on your income.
Depends on your income, but if you are lower income, there are benefits. If you are higher income, you can either go to OnlyFans. You can milk simps for money, right? Guys will take you on dates because you are attractive. Guys will provide for you because you are still attractive.
That's your opinion.
Single mother or not. That's my opinion.
You're saying guys can take you on dates because you're beautiful. Guys can provide for you. I've been single 4 years. I'm not going on dates. No guy is providing for me. I'm providing for me and my children by myself, and I'm not getting anything from the government. So,
and you're assuming that a woman, just because she's not married, wants a sugar daddy.
Correct.
All women want resources. All women want resources.
I beg your pardon?
I get my resources from Christ and Christ alone.
Is that right?
I don't need it from a man. I don't need it from Blojo. I get it by myself on my own. And what I cannot supply for myself, I get from Jesus Christ. Okay,
I'll tell you what. Jesus Christ won't provide anything that you don't provide yourself. You have to go out and work. Jesus Christ does not provide for you. Okay?
There's been moments where I had nothing and I have a newborn and I've had no way to go out and sell real estate because I'm raising a newborn by myself without any assistance. And there's an envelope for $300 on my front door. I have no idea how it got there, who gave it to me. Who do you think that was? That was Jesus.
Can you survive off $300? No.
I did until the next paycheck came through.
There you go. I survive off much more than $300 because I'm not going to wait for $300.
Going back to your point of what the worst thing that can happen to a woman is, 50-50 over custody, I just disagree with that.
Yeah, okay, so if you're saying that the worst that can happen is the man doesn't provide, right? That's
the man's not around and he doesn't provide.
He's not around. So he's not around, he's not providing. That is the worst case.
And what's the worst for a man?
here's what the worst case scenario is for a man.
Okay.
He loses his house, loses his assets, or 50% of his assets, loses access to his children, right? And he is paying monthly for children he does not get to see very often, and usually paying, because 93% of alimony payments are to women, usually paying an ex-wife that he's not with anymore. So she gets the resources whether she stays or does not. In most cases, the woman does not have to provide the man what she provided the relationship after the dissolution of that relationship.
So then I would argue the problem not with marriage, but divorce.
No. Marriage and divorce are flip sides of the same coin. That would be like saying, do you have a home? Yeah. Do you have homeowner's insurance? No sane person buys a home without homeowner's insurance. No sane person drives a car without car insurance. And you go, why is that? Because the flip side to owning a car or a home and using it is what? In the event that something happens, you have certain protections that you have invested in order to mitigate your losses in the event that it dissolves. See what I'm saying? So marriage and divorce are flip sides of the same coin. So
hey, hold on, Mama Q.
What's up?
Mama Q, hold on. Can you mute your mic on that side? Thank you. All right, go ahead, Drake. Sorry.
That was my point. Yeah, we haven't heard from that Miss Davis. I think it'd be good for us to, like, everyone kind of states their points. Like I said, my point with marriage, and I told all you ladies this, you gentlemen this, it's the state's involvement in the marriage. I'm not anti-marriage per se. I'm anti-marriage in the current state with the state's involvement in the marriage, thus the divorce laws, which are directly tied to the state's involvement in marriage.
So
okay, so
then you render that.
All right, hold on. Mama Q, go ahead.
Okay.
So your problem is when the government has to come in and force you to take care of your own children?
No, I take care of my own child regardless. No, men have taken care of their own children regardless. Are there bad men who don't? Absolutely. We all know that, right?
Oh, there aren't absolutes.
Wait,
is
what?
that what I just heard you say?
Let's say it again.
They're not absolutes. Everything is not everyone, everybody.
No. I didn't say everyone. Listen, there's always going to be exceptions to any rule, right? There are going to be men out there who are deadbeat fathers, right? There are going to be women out there who are deadbeat mothers, right? Mm-hmm. So if we can acknowledge that, there's going to be bad apples on both sides. My problem then is the government overwhelmingly, and the family courts overwhelmingly favor only one side, and that is the woman. Are there some women out there who have gotten burned? Yeah, but is that the exception or the rule, right? That's the exception. When you hear a woman got burned in divorce, everyone's shocked. They're like, wait a minute, a woman lost? Britney Spears lost? That's why you don't hear about it very often, because it's that rare. Now, go to the family court right now and ask who's losing. So how did 93% of alimony get paid to women? Right? Women don't women make their own money now, but yet they're still asking for a man's resource. Look, give them nothing. Nothing. Both sides are responsible to take care of their children. If there were no children involved in the marriage and the marriage dissolves, get rid of it. Me personally, Mama Q, what I've always said is, due to the biased laws, men can do everything that they want to with their woman. So it can be just like a marriage, just not having the state involved. You see what I'm saying? So you guys have kids? That's cool. You guys live together? That's cool. You have a loving relationship? That's cool. Okay. And I'm okay with all of this. I have no anti-woman thing. That's not me. I'm okay with all of this up until the issue I have is the marriage contract through the state. Now, if you say you want to get married through the church, I can respect that. I have no respect for anyone, any woman on this earth who goes to the family court and tries to alienate children from their fathers, who tries to seek to gold dig. I'm not okay with that. Likewise, I'm not okay with deadbeat dads who try to duck their responsibilities. You see what I'm saying? I'm fair each way, but the system overwhelmingly favors women to win both in marriage, and if the marriage does not work, they win in the divorce.
So I think that there has been the family court has moved towards trying to quantify what the woman has brought to marriage. And so it's really difficult to quantify nurturing. It's really difficult to quantify how do you quantify the housewife who perhaps did not get up and go out and work a 9 to 5 and deal with traffic and deal with pressures at the job, and then she's now getting divorced. How do you quantify that? If she didn't actually bring home a physical dollar, I think that's the reason for the involvement of the courts. And so there has to be a way for her to receive some kind of compensation for what she contributed. If you're saying that this is a contract between two people, there was an agreement, we're married, we're in this joint venture, we're raising children, we're loving, we're rearing children, those kind of things, and now we split, and she's a housewife, how do you quantify her contribution to the family and rearing those children and bringing them up and shaping their mindset and forming them into responsible citizens? How do you go about quantifying because that contribution is very serious. It's really important. And so if we're going to, if we can't decide as a couple, right, we can't sit down as a couple and decide how we're going to split things. By all means, I need a neutral party to assist me in figuring out how to quantify my contribution to this family, to this relationship. And so that's the need for the involvement of the courts. If we were able to just sit down and you come up with a reasonable settlement, by all means, the court wouldn't be needed. But clearly, there has been an issue with quantifying what the woman has brought to the relationship, and that
which is why they have the mediation,
the need. Yeah,
right. And then the court.
Right.
Now, I have something to say about that.
Yeah.
And here's what I'm going to say.
Sure.
Now, we can talk about you could always argue that the man can now say what she brought to the table, right? No different than the woman said he brought X amount to the table, right, for resources. So a man could say, well, she brought X, Y, Z to the table, right? And the children could then testify by saying, these are the things that mom did, right? We can always go with tangibles versus intangibles. But what I think that we need to get to is this. Too often, I hear people talk about this housewife, yet there are more women in the workforce today in America than men. So most women are not housewives, they are working. So if you work, you better go earn for yourself and your children the way I do as a man, okay? Don't say you want equality, but every time it comes down to it, when there's time for responsibility, it's, I need the court to extract something. I was never married, I never have and never will, because I know better, okay? And one of the things I've noticed is this. Women always talk about intangibles, right? I bring love, I bring compassion, I can't quantify that. But yet women can always, and society can always say, hey, man, this is what you provided. If women brought so much love and compassion, all this stuff, how come the majority of inmates come from single mothers? If women are so great with what they do in the household,
because
why
the fathers are absent.
Well,
yes.
Well, Jeff, what you're talking about with father absence, and so many people are in prison, have father absence and things like that. And you're absolutely right that we see large numbers of that. That's because what you're dealing with are people. And, we're people. We have flaws. We are paired with people that we're maybe not necessarily compatible with. Some people are really great at religion, some aren't. I mean, there's a whole list of factors as to why people aren't, making into relationships or why marriages aren't successful. I think that what you call intangibles are actually the very value of marriage. And I think this is where perhaps there is a split. Because what you call intangibles that you can't quantify is the very justification for getting married in the first place. So I think that where we differ is that if you get married with the thought that in the end, if this doesn't work out, I'm thinking it's a financial transaction. That's the very reason to not get married in the first place. The whole point of marriage in the first place is that you risk. It is a risk. It's a risk to be completely vulnerable, to give your whole self to someone, to share DNA and create together children, right? And so that's the very risk of it all. So if the mindset is, I will marry you, but we better make it, because otherwise, if we don't make it, it becomes a financial transaction, then that's just someone who probably isn't great for marriage in the first place. And so in my opinion, that negates all the others. I mean, the whole point of marriage is that the love and all the things that you call intangibles makes it worth the marriage in the first place. That's what makes it worth it. And so,
let me ask you a question, Ms. Davis.
Sure.
I have a question. In the Bible,
yes,
does it say anything about a woman's love for her husband? Yes or no? Anywhere in the Bible? Think hard.
Yeah.
Come on. Give me an answer.
I can't
say love, right?
I'd say the submission is an act of love towards God.
An
act of love to your husband.
Hold on.
Right.
Respect is what it says. It says respect.
Absolutely.
Your man, submit to your man. Now, the church has been feminized. Society has been feminized. That's why
Agreed.
they have men getting on one knee. Listen, ladies, you're intelligent ladies. You guys look good tonight, but you guys would also agree that never in the history of mankind have you seen this many soft soy boy beta males, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You guys have never seen. There's no good men.
1,000%.
You would say that, right?
No, I would
Right,
not
Ms.
say that.
Valdez?
I definitely would say
I would not say that. I will tell you that I believe that there are lots of good men on this planet. I would never say that. I don't believe that there are.
Hold on. Define good man.
A good man is someone who fears God, who takes care of his family, who is self-assured. He is very well of himself, and he understands, respects, and cares for women and protects women. He protects his family. That's what a good man is.
Okay.
Hold up. Wait. Hold on. Miss Rosalina, what would you say the definition of a good man would be?
Well, for me, this is where I think my views with Drexel kind of just are different, is because being a believer, everything that my life revolves around is not about me and my happiness and how do I benefit and which one of my rights are violated and which ones do I want to hold on to, as much as the goal for me is to glorify God. So for me, what the definition of a good, what is that? Sorry, I just hear like a...
Probably the car.
Oh, okay. So the
Drex, do me a favor. While she, I'm gonna have her finish, and then I'm gonna have Mama Q answer. Also, can you mute your mic while they're talking?
Somewhere on there.
Oh, I don't know how to do that.
Hold on.
Why do we? How do we lose Miss Davis?
I don't know what just happened there.
Soda.
There she goes.
Oh, there she goes.
All right.
Let me see if I can.
There we go. All right. Go ahead, Miss Rosalina.
So yeah, it's just kind of what Cece was saying. It's a man that honors God. He puts God first. When I'm looking for a man, the reason I'm still alone is because I'm not looking for just any man. He could be a great businessman. He could be a gentleman. He could be kind. But if he doesn't put Christ first and God is not everything that he's living for, and he's not the one that he goes for all his decisions, I don't want that good man. Because to me, we're all selfish. We're all sinners. We're all susceptible to mistakes, sinful nature. The only way I think that a man can be, meet his fullest potential and purpose in God is to be pursuing Christ and pursuing God. So to me, the good man is, like Cece said, he's a provider. He's selfless. He's not self-centered and absorbed. He's willing to die to self the way Christ died for the church and the body as a representation. That's what marriage is, right? To me, marriage is not, happiness, it's holiness. So a good man is willing to sacrifice things and his rights and his things to do what he's called to do in Ephesians, which is to love his bride and then love his family. He's a leader.
There you go. And so, Mama Q, what is the definition of a good man?
I'll describe my husband. I'll describe my sons. A man that first loves God above all. He's gentle, bold, generous, shows discretion. He's responsible, attentive, dependable, right? Truthful. That's what I would consider is a good man. A man that first honors God. And if a man loves God first, right, and he's everything the center, everything else is just going to fall in place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So
all right.
So I think that Drexel, I would agree with him, though, that when he was talking about man needing love, in my opinion, and I'm talking about the heterosexual exchange. Okay, so I'm talking about between man and woman, husband and wife. I do believe that a man needs to be respected much more than he needs to be loved. In fact,
absolutely,
if you want to love a man, you will respect him. Right. And he is absolutely head of household, right? He understands fully what his role is, right? Again, I've always said, my husband is the head of my household. If you're going to define the Ireland family, the Davis Ireland family, and you need a representative, we're going to send my husband, right? We're not going to send him.
Right.
And I fully accept that. So, you know, really, truly walking in his role and understanding that. And he absolutely, but I will say this, he absolutely has to love God more than he loves me.
Amen.
All right, Drex.
But I agree with Drex on that. I agree with him 100%.
No.
All right, Drex, hold on. Hey,
What's up?
it's my show. I'm asking the questions. So
What's up?
describe a good woman.
Well, in 2020, that is very hard to find. As you know, the marriage rate is the lowest it's been since 1869. And that is for good reason, because there are very few marriageable women out there, because there are very few good quality women out there who are not destroyed by feminism, who are not single mothers, who are not ratchet. So there are very few. So when you ask me what is my definition of a good woman, it would be the woman who is honorable, faithful, loyal, respectful, and submissive. Okay. So now let's think about those qualities I just said, right? When you look around, and this is specifically for you, Mrs. Davis. This is specifically you. What you were saying, I actually agree with you, but here's where I think that we have a little bit of a blurred line.
Okay.
I live in a world where I can honestly say, like I said, I'm speaking for the vast majority, right?
Sure.
So I'm not going to go with when someone tells me about I'm married in a small town. I'm referring to people who live in major cities and the suburbs of major cities, right? So if you come with me with, well, I live in a town of 2,000 people. No, that's not my world. That's not the world for most Americans. The world of most Americans is that most people, men and women, work. Those women who work today, most of them, and I'm going to assume Mrs. Valdez there can cook, because I know lots of Latinas and they can cook. But I will say this, Mrs. Davis. Right? So I will say this. Okay, excluding Latinas, right?
No, don't exclude them. No.
Oh, hear me out. Excluding Latinas, the overwhelming majority of Western women cannot cook and know their way around the kitchen.
Neither can half of these Latinas.
What's that?
Neither can half of these Latinas.
Is it that bad now?
That bad.
Oh, there you go. Like I said, I'm just going off my own experience and guys I know. To our knowledge, most of our knowledge, the majority of Latinas, like you said, if you're saying it's 50-50, hey, feminism is winning in the Latina community, the Latin community. I'm telling you right now, if I were to go, Mama Q, Mrs. Davis, Miss Valdez, if I were to ask to honestly do a survey right now, I would say the amount of women who can truly fit the, let's call it the traditional wife feminine role is 5%. Okay.
And it's also the previous generations. I mean,
they sold everyone down the drain.
So who? Okay, in that traditional role, who is that defined by?
So the traditional role, okay, whether you're spiritual or not, there's a natural order. So anyone out there who questions what natural order is, let me explain how this is going to happen. In the event that feminism wins completely in the West, as it's currently been winning for the last, I would say, about 5 generations now. Well, 5 decades. So about 2.5 to 3 generations. Feminism has been winning, right? If feminism wins completely, right? The single motherhood rate, to put this in perspective, and I said this on one of Q's shows, Black family, the Black nuclear family, used to be 88%, the highest in the nation. Post-Reconstruction. Now, three-fourths of all Black children are born to single moms. That was by design. So when people talk all this God stuff, I see lots of the men that you guys describe, these good men, lots of God-fearing men, good men, have been ravaged by the family court. I know one person, right? He's a devout Catholic.
Hold on. You're breaking up, Drex. You're breaking up.
Can't.
I'm not just.
Okay, Drex. Hold on. You're breaking up. Real quick. Let me ask the panel real quick. So there's a lot to unpack there. So Drex said that a large majority of marriages are ending in divorce. What would the reason be for that? Ms. Davis, let's start with you.
A large majority of marriages are ending in divorce.
What would be the reason for in your mind for the high rate of divorce in America?
Sure. I would just think that, that's a little complicated, but I'll attempt anyhow. I think that there isn't a full understanding of what marriage is, and that entire complete commitment. I also think that there isn't an understanding that the marriage itself, the relationship, is much more important than the ceremony. Okay, so we're in this bridezilla culture, the big wedding to impress all these people and spend all this money and take 2 years to plan it and everyone can see so they can talk about it. But there isn't that much focus or equal amount of focus on the wedding on the marriage or the relationship itself. I also think that because, and I am a Christian girl, I'm going to say, if you're not getting that counseling and you don't understand that unless God is right in the center of it, it won't last. And so I think that what we're doing is that we're focusing on ceremony. We have people who aren't complete whole people entering into a full commitment and understanding what marriage actually is. I think we have people maybe perhaps are unequally yoked where one person is Christian, one is not, or something to that effect. I think there are a lot of factors. And so, but under that entire umbrella, I would say that there is a complete misunderstanding of the full, complete understanding of what marriage actually is, what it entails, the commitment, the weight of it, the responsibility of it, and all of its pros and cons. And so, and to me, there aren't any cons, because the truth is, if you truly know who you are in Christ, and if you know who that other person is, you won't get to divorce, and you'll certainly work it out to where that wouldn't be the case. And so, we're not fully aware. We're not complete whole people going into it with a full understanding of the real weight of what marriage is and its impact on us and society.
All right.
True.
So, Mama Q.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I was just writing down a few things. A lot of people, I think, get married for the wrong reasons. They have an inability to resolve conflict, right? A lot of them, I talk to men and women, they don't understand what their God-given roles are in a marriage. That could be a source of contention. And the main thing is, when a relationship is not rooted and grounded in the Lord, then you're not going to know, you may not have that full commitment there, and you may not have the identification of roles. Another thing, I've been married over 30 years, but my identity is not attached solely to my husband. My joy comes from the Lord.
That's right.
Now, my husband completes me, but I'm not 100% dependent on him for my joy. I'm complete in the Lord. I know who I am and whose I am. So that helps me be the wife that I need to be.
All right, Miss Rosalina.
Well, I'm the divorcee, so I would say it has a lot to do with before marriage. Like both of you ladies were saying, people are going into marriage not really understanding, what marriage entails. Everybody's walking down the aisle going for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, but what they really mean is for better and for not when you're broke, but when you got money. Like that's what people are walking down the aisle. I think you have to separate the two. There's biblical marriage and then there's worldly marriage. They're very different. When you go into marriage in the worldly sense, it is a contract. kind of like what Drexel says, it's a contract. You do this. If you promise to do this for me, then I promise to do this for you. Whereas when you're going into marriage in the biblical sense, the biblical point of marriage is not serve me. The biblical point of marriage is to bring glory to God.
Amen.
And so everything I'm doing, easier said than done, okay, by the grace of God. But everything that I'm doing as a wife is to glorify God. And until if I'm glorifying God, then obviously I'm going to be doing my God-given things that God has put in the Word of God, submitting to my husband, taking care of my household, all the things that everybody puts in Proverbs 31 as the ultimate woman. So I think, and I think it's before marriage, in my instance, like you say, Cece, unequally yoked. How do you get into a marriage where you're unequally yoked? Well, your whole view of relationships before marriage is messed up, mine included. Growing up, I grew up with marriage is till death. I mean, he could drag you through the woods and burn you, but you go to that grave, you marry that man. So that was the perception in my head. And going into marriage, it was like, okay, this is what we're supposed to do. Especially if you grow up in the Christian church or the church, there's a lot of legalism. Oh, don't fornicate, so get married. Now, I'm not trying to say, like Paul said in Corinthians, if you have no self-control, it's better to get married. I'm not saying that he's not correct, but I am saying that I think a lot of people, especially in the church, go into marriage with this, perception of, it's going to be wonderful. And, that whole Ruth and Boaz that we see all over Facebook, and that's not reality. And so I think divorces are happening, myself included. I didn't so much have a choice in mine, but like Cece's saying is people don't have Christ as the center, and God is not first and foremost. And like I said, God is the creator of marriage. So who am I to redefine it? So when I want to find out what is it to be a biblical wife as God intended it to be, I'm going to open up the Word of God and go in there to find that, not read these self-help books and go look at Oprah and all this stuff. So I just think the biggest reason divorces are happening is because everybody's going into it unprepared. We put so much emphasis on the church. Every time I go to church myself, it's marriage. Everybody's preaching on marriage. Okay, that's great. But what about the people that are not married, single? There's not enough preaching. There's not enough resources for singles. I don't care what age you are, 19 to 50, about what you need to look for in a spouse before marriage. And also, like you said, there's not enough speaking on your identity in Christ. How do you solidify your identity in Christ and who you are, knowing who you are as a woman or a man before, going into marriage? Because marriage is the quickest way to sanctify yourself is to stick two people in a household where they're living together all the time, right? That's a mirror. So if you can't get yourself right with God before marriage, God help you all. You know what I mean? It's because we're selfish. We're all selfish. At the root of our nature, we are selfish. Me, 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 me. What can you give me? And that's why divorce is huge. What, 75%? I mean, but at the end of the day, I can't sit here and go, no disrespect to you, your views or anything. I don't believe in trying to convince you of anything. But personally, it's easy for me to fall into all men suck. And I don't want to go through pain again. I don't ever want to experience what I went through. But then that's when I hear the Holy Spirit go, okay, but now are you living by fear or are you living by faith?
Good.
And so I think that's the question singles have to ask themselves, especially if you've been burned. Am I going into marriage with fear? Am I going to allow the enemy to keep me from blessings because I'm in fear? Or am I going to live by faith, trusting that ultimately, Jeremiah 29:11, God says, my plans are not to harm you.
Yes.
So,
and divorce is ugly. That's the other thing. Nobody tells you that. Especially like you said, feminism. That's all you see. Married women that are on the brink of divorce, they go find other women that are single who sit there and tell them, you'll be fine, girl. You could do it. We independent women. You'll be good, girl. What they don't tell you is, no, it's like a death. It's miserable. It's horrible. There's nothing beautiful about it, but you don't see that. Everybody lies.
Yeah, lots of lies being told. Now, one of the things go ahead.
Drexel, so I want you to answer that question. So why are there so many divorces?
There are so many divorces for the opposite viewpoints that all three of the ladies have discussed. We live in a godless world, okay?
Yeah.
It's a godless world. So understand this. With a lot of my views, if you guys notice, no disrespect to your Christian views, I have a very, let's just say, how about twisted version twisted view of Christianity and the church, not from the biblical sense, but in how it is implemented in real life, right? I went to a Christian college. Do you know what I saw there, Miss Valdez? You can imagine, right?
I tell you what you saw.
You know, right?
Yeah.
So the same people
Because you put Christian on the front of it, don't make it Christian.
It don't make it Christian, right? So I saw more sin and debauchery and degeneracy in the church. As I left the church as a kid at age 8, because I saw at 8 years old, I was perceptive enough to see the degeneracy. And I don't know what you know about the black church, but the black church is the worst of the worst in terms of pastors getting with the congregation. It's about the money. It's about the attention. It's not about servitude.
It's
right?
Across the board.
Correct, right? I know, because I was actually talking to my close Dominican friend of mine is watching the show. Her father is a pastor, and he has left, she said, like 4 churches due to the degeneracy and the money, basically money laundering, right? So my thing is this: all of you guys and gals talk a lot about Bible this, Bible that. No disrespect, but understand where I'm coming from.
Absolutely.
I'm not talking about what it's supposed to be, right? I'm talking about what it is. We live in a godless world. I am adapting to a godless world. Miss Valdez, if you had asked me as a child, Drex, you're a young boy, you're bright, what do you want? I would say, well, I'm still a kid, I don't really know, but based on what I've been, seeing and just kind of wanting, most people want a loving relationship, man, we're talking about heterosexual, man, woman, children, right? In a happy household. And remember, feminism reared its head along with a lot of other forces, right? And they, like you said, it got into this me culture. Whereas I have said openly, anyone who subscribes to the belief, happy wife, means less than nothing to me, right? It should be happy spouse, happy house.
Agreed.
When a woman is serving her man, right? If you want to know how much, like I just got off work, right? And I will tell you right now, Nick Ricada and I talked about this on his show. The most pleasure I get as a man is giving, not receiving. You understand? So when I get my daughter something, it gives me far more joy to see her happy than if I buy something for myself or I receive something. If you buy me something right now, I'm just kind of like, wow, thanks. I could have gotten that for myself, right? That's how men are built. But when I give something, it fills me with deep joy to see children happy, to see people like I educate men on what the world is. Because like I said, that Christian guy or Catholic guy I told you about, right? Lance, he is devout Catholic. And he and I butted heads a lot, as you can imagine, because I speak a certain type of way, especially offline, right? That's very vulgar and in your face. He, with his beliefs, was not a fan of me. Yet, when he went through his heartbreaking divorce, right? He got cheated on. You know the story. That happens that's always happened out there, right? Infidelity, trying to divorce, rape him, take him through the cleaners, right? And he was breaking his back to support a family of, basically 9, right? 7 children, husband, wife, right? So I look at that and I think to myself, where did this problem stem from? It stems from these demonic forces that are dividing men and women, okay? Demonic forces.
The devil came to destroy.
Oh, say it again?
The devil, it says in the Bible, he comes to steal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so Miss Valdez, understand, you ladies out there, you people in the chat, understand, I am always referring to the world as it is. So when you guys hear my viewpoints, don't take it as, I wonder if Jackson's just some bitter guy. No. I was never married. I have done things and seen things enough to know that the world is not the way the Bible said it was, in terms of like, oh, it's supposed to be this. The Bible warns you about a demonic, godless world, right? Sodom and Gomorrah. It warns you about thought culture, right? They called it harlotry, right? Harlotry. Look, how does WAP exist? How does a song like WAP exist? Well, guess what? But let me tell you, ladies, though, it all plays into the culture of, girl, get that bag. You guys have heard that, right?
Yeah,
everybody plays into that culture because you can say
Jews do it too. I will say guys play into thought culture as well. It is a cyclical, systemic problem. But it also, because of the division between men and women, the gender war, it's a silent war now. It's going to become more pronounced. The days will get rough, but they're going to be much rougher for women due to their place. So what's going to end up happening, as we're seeing now, the divorces keep going up, up, up. Remember, they talk about the divorce rate was going down, right? That's because there were so much fewer marriages. I'm sure you guys have seen these bridal stores closing, right? Marriage is done. Here's the thing. Is marriage really feasible in 2020 and beyond in this Western culture? What's that?
I know I'm not the host, so let me ask the host.
What's that?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so my question would be to you, okay, hypothetically speaking, because I understand where you're coming from. You're a man, I'm a woman, we're different in that sense, but we're both single people living in a godless world. I guess for me, what I'm trying to understand is what would your end goal be? So for instance, for me as a single woman who is, and I'm not saying you have to be this, but my ultimate goal is to please and honor God. And so I know in order to please and honor God, there are certain things I cannot do or partake in to please him. So as a woman who is single, who's been divorced, I've been through the pain. I've put all my life into something that failed. That is a scary thing. Mm-hmm. Would your suggestion to me be, say we were friends and you cared about me, I was your sister or something. Would your suggestion be to me as a woman who loves God, look, you're going to get burned. Everything you kind of say about yourself, you're going to get burned. This can go wrong. This can go wrong. So instead, I'd rather you partake in selective promiscuity. So in other words, we have needs, right? We're grown. That's going to be there. What does Paul say? If you don't have self-control, get married. So just instead of getting married, because we live in a godless world and I want to protect myself, let me just live as a single woman and sleep with whoever when I feel the need or whatever. Wouldn't that just be just as godless as what's going on in the godless world and using the godless world as an excuse for me to be godless?
I see what you're saying.
Celibate forever and ever and ever. You understand?
I know what you're saying. Now here would be my take on that. This would be my response. If you and I knew each other and you asked me, you said, Drex, you're a certain kind of way, you're out there, tell me what's real. I would tell you what your chances were to get a certain quality man as a single mother, right? Your value drops as a woman. With being a single mother drops your value for men. Being older drops your value to men, right? You understand what I'm saying?
No.
So, trust me, it does. If you think a 60-year-old can pull what a 20-year-old can, no.
No, that's not what I'm saying. No, but I'm telling you.
Whoa.
With 2 kids, I could go get a fine man who has a great job and do all those things.
He ain't wiping you up in the current culture.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have to understand where we're coming from is different. You know what I'm saying? You can say because I have kids, I'm not as valuable. But in Christ, I know that my value is I'm unblemished. I'm just as valuable as the girl sleeping around with no kids. It's not more valuable.
You're completely incorrect.
Value on being a single mother.
Okay.
Well,
all right. So hold on. So this is where I tell the panel. I warned y'all. Okay. But let's because we always tend to get off on this rabbit trail. Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't come here necessarily to talk about divorce. Okay.
Right.
And unfortunately, Drexel, his disdain for the institution of marriage has more to do with the institution of divorce than it does with the institution of marriage. And we've had that discussion.
But they're one and the same.
Well, they're not. They're not, though.
Because they're one and the same, no more than life and death, right?
They're not. They're not. They're absolutely not. Because when 2 people are dedicated to each other and 2 people have similar values, right, they can make it through anything. Just to say, you and Rakeda have been listen, man. I'm the one that's been married and am married. You're not. So I can speak with some authority on this and you can't. Okay.
I can't. Go ahead.
Well, hey, you can speak about it, but it's hypothetical to you. All right. I'm actually living it. Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Hold on. You're living it, right?
Hold on. Let me finish real quick. Let me finish real quick.
I'm gonna come with some fire real quick. Go ahead.
Okay, hey, and I look forward to it.
So bring it.
Okay, that's cool. But let me finish. The problem is okay. So I see the chat is talking about, oh well, you're talking about God, you're talking about this, you're talking about that, but not everybody is a Christian. I 100% get that. Okay, but if there is not some substance that holds your marriage together, every marriage comes across really, really hard times. If you don't have something that your marriage is rooted in, other than lust, other than money, other than looks, it's going to fall apart. But let's look at it strictly away from. Let's look strictly away from the Bible.
Sure.
It is proven that children that come from married families and come from nuclear families do better in life as a whole. Okay. Yep. So we can say that society itself is better off when people are dedicated to each other and working together to co-parent in the same household. Okay. So even if we don't bring the Bible into it, we know that those biblical principles and the institution of marriage is good for society. But go ahead, bring your fire so we can go ahead and bring the extinguisher.
Okay. Well, you won't be able to. But let me go ahead and say this. All these people that want to come and say the things that you're saying, okay, fair enough. But guess what? If I were to say, bring the wife on, bring the husbands on. Remember, my position is why men shouldn't get married, right? That's my position. So all these guys that want to run their mouth about marriage, let me ask you this. Bring their wife on and let me ask the men, are you men getting out of marriage what you believe you were? So are you getting submission? Are you getting frequent sex? Are you getting those home cooked meals? Most men, now Ms. Davis, I see you nodding. I'm talking about the men that are all around, right? If you were to go to any workforce and go like this, hey men, is your wife cooking meals for you every day? No. Is she giving you sex every day or almost every day? No. She ain't doing that, right?
Oh my gosh.
Men are forced to provide. You understand?
Drexel, you know what? I would really, if okay, you're young enough probably to be my son. And if my son said that, I'd say, you need to change your environment. Because what I can tell you is this. If you ask my husband, is he getting meals? He'd say yes. Is he getting snacks? That's me. Sex? Yes.
No, but this is yes. You saying it though, Miss Q.
I'm talking. So you need to stop making absolutes, because you cannot say all men would say that. A majority of men would say that. I'm not.
Do you know that men that get all above still cheat?
And know about my husband? I agree. My husband is the one that married, like Rosalina, the 16-year-old that got pregnant. You know, the one that you're saying is all spotted. Mm-hmm. Well, Jesus Christ help. We want to talk about God.
That's your only argument. That's the only argument I'm hearing tonight.
No, wait a minute. What did he get? What did my husband get? The 16-year-old that got pregnant. He got a wife that loves him unconditionally. He has a wife that stayed home and homeschooled all 5 of his kids.
It's
he has
not
a
unconditional.
Wife that stayed home and trained his children. That's what he got.
It's not unconditional. Because if he beat you like I beat Tina, you wouldn't be there. No love is unconditional. We all have conditions. You understand?
You can hang on to that, Greg.
Something years, we haven't gotten there because we're committed to each other.
But it could go there, and you heard people who it has, right? And they left. No love on this earth is unconditional.
Bro.
The of marriage trumps the feeling of love. Love is more than a feeling. Love is more than sex and my little hot meals from work. Okay, love defined by man is temporary. Love defined by God is unconditional. So if you're going into marriage going, you give me and then I'll give you, baby, that's a contract, not a covenant. But if you're going into marriage
repeat that for the people in the back.
If you're going into marriage based off the biblical definition of marriage, then you know marriage is a covenant. A covenant is not broken because you don't give me what I came into this marriage for, and I don't give you what you came into this marriage for. So see,
hold on.
Into a very different perspective. That's why me being a single woman of 2 kids, blemished and all, marked and all, I know that if God were to bring me a man that loves God first and foremost, he's going to love me and my 2 kids as if they were his own kids. And I don't have to worry about my past. I don't have to worry about those things because
that's what a cuckold does.
That's
only
the
a cuckold takes care of children that are not his.
I don't know what you're saying. That's the difference between godly marriage and worldly marriage.
What did you just say?
Only a cuckold takes care of children that are not his. No man worth his salt takes care of children that are not his. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's right.
I know men that take care of their children, period, that are theirs. So
there are.
That's 90% of men. So
you speak a lot about this covenant as a divorcee, right?
Yeah, and if you know my story, you wouldn't be so
talking about it as a divorce.
Because you would know that the divorce had nothing to do with me and my part, but a man that was
living. So you did nothing wrong. It's a yes or no question. You did nothing wrong.
I wasn't perfect, but the divorce was not my wish. Okay.
Okay.
And if we were on live in front of YouTube and everybody else, and we were over a cup of coffee, I would tell you my story, and you'd shut your mouth real quick because you'd see that it was not my doing. It was not my desire. I cooked, I cleaned. He got it as many times as he wanted, as many days of the week, and he still was unsatisfied because when you're not satisfied with Christ, you look to everything else in the world to satisfy you, whether it's another meal from another woman or anything else. If you can't find your satisfaction in Christ, you're never going to be satisfied with the perfect step either.
Not Miss Valdez. That is the conditional love I was referring to.
That takes care of another man's child.
A cuckold. That's a cuckold. That's a cuckold.
Cuckold.
Yep.
What word is he using?
Drex, explain yourself, bro.
Okay, so Mama Q, a cuckold is defined as a man who is that was Ty Beard. A cuckold is a man who is going to take care of another man's seed, and or the man who will sit idly while his woman is being pleasured sexually by another man. That is the definition of a cuckold, right? Like Jerry Falwell Jr. is a cuckold.
And so any man that takes care of another man's child is a cuckold?
So my next husband, if I ever have one.
Wait a second, Rosalina. I got this one, baby.
Okay.
That's a
Go ahead.
cuckold?
Absolutely, he's a cuckold.
Okay. Let's talk about my husband that I've been married to over 30 years. That married the 16-year-old that got pregnant. That wasn't his child. He's a pharmacist. We've raised 5 children. Let me talk to you about it. They've all gone to college. First one owns his own business. The second one, a lawyer. The third one is a businessman, taught in China, graduated from Drake. The fourth one went to the Naval Academy, and now he's a Marine officer. The fifth one is a nurse. She has a bachelor's in nursing. All of those were raised by a cuckold, or whatever.
Absolutely.
That word is.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they were. Hold on. Hear me out. So, Mama Q, there's a basketball player, right? Zion Williamson, right? Zion Williamson. Now, like I said, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule. It sounds like you have an exception. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. I really am. And I'm happy for the children. Zion Williamson's stepfather, we call him the cuck daddy, right? They call it, the media says a stepdad, we call him a cuck dad, right? It's the cuck daddy. The cuck came in, helped Zion with all his skills, all that, right? And do you know what happened when he got drafted by the New Orleans Pelicans and got to the NBA? You see this quite often. The boy thanks his mother, not the stepfather. The stepfather is usually, not always, usually a very thankless job because the kids typically, not always, resent or basically ignore the authority of the step parent, whether it's male or female, right?
Like, who's your source for this? Like,
all right, hold on. Wait. Hold on. All right. Because now we're delving into some. This is interesting, Jackson. You and I have talked a lot, but we've never actually had this particular discussion before.
Wow.
So I find it extremely offensive, but I'm not gonna let my personal feelings get in the way. So let me put on my Christian hat real quick, just so that I can make a point. So Jesus himself, God himself, is a cuck, right?
Hello.
Because God only has one son, and that's Jesus Christ himself. The rest of us are all somebody else's kid that God has.
According to your hierarchy, you're his children, right? We're all
according to hierarchy, Jesus Christ is the only begotten Son of God. Okay, right. So the rest of us are bastard children, right? Mm-hmm. So in addition to that, I am that bastard child. Okay, I am the one who was the son of a 16-year-old mother. My father, my daddy, the guy who raised me, the one who taught me how to be a man, the reason why I'm here today, was the quote unquote cuck that you talk about. That's incredibly disrespectful, bro. Incredibly disrespectful.
That's what it is. That's the actual definition.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. It's absolutely not what it is. Okay, that is your perception of what it is, but it is not what it is. Because in my opinion, no, bro. In my opinion, it takes greater man. No. Let me finish this one, bro. In my opinion, it takes more of a man to raise a child that is not his than it does for someone to take care of his own seed. Let me back up, because to take care of your own seed is just what you're supposed to do, right? It requires you to take emotion out of it and actually do what is right to take care of somebody else's child. That is not that is not a cuck. That is somebody who is able to love unconditionally to the extent that we are able to, because I don't believe that humans can love unconditionally. Everybody has a point. Only God can love unconditionally. All right. So to that, I agree with you. But man, that's absolute. I'm trying to keep it clean because my mama's listening, but I defy you to tell me that my dad is a cuck because he chose to take care of a child.
At the end of the day, it's a word. He can say
it's not a word; it's an action. So
the devil uses a lot of words too. And
hold on, a rapist is a word, but it's also an action, right? There's an action. A wife beater is a word, but it's also an action. A cuckold is a word, and it is an action.
To his father just doesn't apply.
Here's the thing. Understand this: when you have boys raised by single mothers, they say things like, "Oh, a real man should." Whenever a woman says a real man should, especially if she's a single mother, whatever she says after that is going to be something to serve women. It's not going to be to his benefit.
You're wrong. See, Sonia's correct. You do speak as if there's an absolute when you talk. It's very ignorant. Because when I talk to my sons, I don't come at it with this feministic, like, that's not how I talk to my sons. I don't have an example. I don't have a godly man in the home, but I have a Bible full of direction and guidance for a single mother. And there's a lot more out there than you think. My two sons aren't being raised in a hate, men are this and a real man. No. When I want to tell my son what a real man is, I open up the word of God. I point to what's in the Bible. I don't look at TV and go, oh, that's a real man.
But here's the thing. Everything you guys say, 1 second, Ms. Davis, I'll let you go. Everything that you guys say, you keep talking about the Bible.
That's
when we talk about marriage, you listen. I have said, Ms. Valdez, I have nothing against your faith, nothing against anyone's faith. My issue is when people keep trying to use faith in a marriage, contract, and in this
created marriage.
That's
God
irrelevant.
is the creator of marriage.
Right.
God is the creator of the devil.
How is that irrelevant? That's such an ignorant statement.
He created the devil. So what are you trying to say? He created the devil, right? He's the creator of all things?
Yeah, but the simple fact is, whether you're secular or not. But the simple fact is, whether...
All right, hold on.
Go ahead, Drexel. Go ahead.
No. We heard.
I heard us talking. Go ahead.
Hold on, Mama Q, real quick, and then Miss Cece.
Go ahead, Sonia.
The word that you used for a man, basically, you were describing my husband. Every person that I know of, and Quentin Q, whatever y'all call him, can attest. You know what kind of words they use for my husband? Honorable, God-fearing, humble, full of discretion. That is how they describe my husband. You are very ignorant, and I would compel you to get more friends, find another environment.
I know your son. I know Nick Mercada. I know lots of married men. So what are you trying to say? Now what?
So
obviously,
but what?
You don't know what you're talking about.
So
okay. You're obviously not friending them and finding out what's good in their life. You're just.
I've known Nick almost 30 years.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Who burned you? Who is this woman?
I knew it was coming.
Into
no one.
The monster that you are.
I knew it was
Let's talk
coming.
about that.
Didn't happen.
No, sir.
Didn't happen.
So I know that we're going back to God and we're going back to our Christianity. Whether you're secular or not, whether you believe in it or not, the bottom line is that God is the master of life, and He created this. He created all the rules. Marriage simply is a holy covenant. You don't have to believe it. It just is, whether you believe that or not.
But Cece, is it in 2020 in America? That's all I'm asking.
It is in 2020. And so what I was going to say is that you were speaking to, if you walk up to men and you ask the average man on your job, is your woman satisfying you? Are you out of your marriage what you deserve? Is she cooking for you every day? Are you being sexed up every day? Are you being valued? I would say change your environment, because there are plenty of men, right, who are married to women who are beautiful, who are giving sex as often as he wants. In fact, some women maybe want it more, right? Who are cooking, who are respectful. They raise their men up and they appraise them, and they find ways. They wake up every day and their notion for the day is, how can I make him better? Okay. So I would say that perhaps the cases that you're talking about are the ones that are getting most of the press. And I would say maybe you need to change your environment and figure out where those satisfied men are, because, and unfortunately, Drexel, to your point, because you don't hear people who are happily married, and that's probably part of our problem, is that we don't hear happy men speak about marriage enough. They don't raise marriage and say, you know what? Wow, is this good to be married? Dang, I'm glad I'm not single. You know what?
I agree with that. Absolutely, I agree.
We don't hear that enough. So let me take some responsibility for that. Let me just say, maybe we should do that. We're not doing that enough, but there are plenty of men out there who are extremely happy, who are getting plenty of sex, who's getting food, and they're getting cooked and being catered to, and that man is defined and held up and esteemed as the head of household. And she wakes up every day, and her notion for the day is to figure out, how can I make him better? And so maybe we just need to change the environment, and we need to advertise that a lot more.
Cece, I agree with you 1,000% about there needs to be more propping up for marriage and for women to become quality wives and for boys to become quality husbands, right? Sure. I agree with you 100%. Mm-hmm. My issue then is this. When you're talking about my environment, and Mama Q talked about my environment, when I tell you I've been everywhere, I mean that literally everywhere, right? And believe you me, I've been around all kinds of people, all walks of life. Now, does that mean that the vast majority are just sitting there saying, just being bitter? No. I'm hearing in-depth things from these guys and women. So don't think this is just me just saying just about men, right? I've heard lots of women talk about some of the things that Miss Valdez says. I know we don't always agree, Miss Valdez, but believe you me, whatever your story is, if we ever meet offline and we talk, I would be very perceptive to your story, but I will tell you this. Lots of women tell me how unsatisfied they are in marriage for other reasons, right?
And I'm telling you, they're not godly women.
No, but hold on, but hear me out. We all acknowledge that we are selfish, right? That is our nature as humans. Now, that being said, we have to suppress that selfishness to be selfless. We all have to. It's a thing that we have to constantly work at. It is unnatural. Absolutely. It's unnatural. We want to be about me. I get that. But what I'm saying is we're in a situation now. Well, remember, I don't want the culture that we have now. This is where people get me confused. I'm just adapting, and I'm adapting to the culture that we're in. I don't want the culture we're in. I don't want divorce culture. I don't want thought culture. I don't want single mother culture. Okay?
Drexel, can I ask you a question?
What's that?
Have you wondered what is it that's in your character that is drawing these type of people to you? Because I don't have those type of people in my world. So what is it about your character that's drawing these kind of people to give you these thoughts and these perceptions?
So let me explain that, Mama Q. One of the things about me is that I'm just
hold on, Drex. Before you get to that, we got a couple super chats we need to get to.
Go ahead.
Let's all go back to our corners real fast, and let's get to these super chats.
Ooh, oh my goodness, what a fantastic first round.
Ding, 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 Sutter.
Hey,
For one, I'm enjoying this Christian
Mama,
immensely.
can you mute your mom?
I got it. Oh, she got it.
All right, cool. All right.
First up, Solvis for $1.99. Welcome, Drexel's Roadside Confessions. Anti-Venom for $2. Drexel is right to bring up divorce in this discussion. Not doing that would be like talking about how cool it would be to be in the military without talking about all its inherent risks and downsides. It's certainly a concern among the gun-shy men right now. Dovin Death for $5. Single moms are a scourge of the earth and are worth nothing of true value. I'd say something, but I'd be called a simp. Anti-Venom for $2. Marriage is a religious concept that the government should have no involvement in. I'd go so far as to say that it's unconstitutional. Take it out of government, and you'd see 90% of all of Drexel's concerns here be resolved. And, Anti-Venom is not entirely wrong, because weren't marriage licenses originally to stop misogynation?
Yeah. They had a different purpose originally, Soder. It's not what it is now. It's unfortunate.
All right. Are we caught up, Soder?
You want to go back to those original reasons?
Oh, say it again?
You're wanting to go back to those original reasons for the marriage certificates?
No, I don't. Okay. I really don't.
I didn't think so.
I have a different reason why that is. It's my reasoning for that.
All right, hold up.
Because we'll always turn back to this. That's all.
Let's go ahead and finish the super chats.
Oh, go ahead.
Anti-Venom again for $2. Drex, you're wrong on the cuckold definition. A man is only a cuck if he takes care of kids produced during the relationship that aren't his. If a man takes care of kids that existed when he entered, he's called a stepdad. That's not a cuck.
He's called a hero. Go ahead.
I'm learning so many things tonight. Oh boy. Anti-Venom again for $2. Drex, you should acknowledge this. You agree that boys raised in fatherless households are at higher risk of failing in life. Don't shame men who step up to fill the shoes of men who failed at being fathers. It's counterproductive.
Amen.
Oh, wait, is that clapping? Go ahead.
That's clapping.
I'm going to go ahead. I was going to say,
we're not done with the super chats yet. Hold on.
All right, last one. Mr. Leon for $4.99. Just to ask, what do you say about non-Christian cultures that have marriage? How did they get marriage? And that's it. That's all the super chats for now.
Actually, I would say that in a lot of non-Christian cultures, they have arranged marriages, which actually seem to have a much higher success rate than American marriages. But nobody asked for that opinion. Could it possibly be because those marriages are based around something deeper than lust? Could it be that they are not selfish in nature? I'm sure it's probably all the above. But there are a lot of marriages that exist outside of Christian culture and outside of Western culture as well. And I think that divorce is more of an American thing or more of a Western thing than it is in most other cultures.
It is for now. It's getting to the east, though. It's getting to the east, though. I got people in the east. It's getting there.
Okay, and
it's getting there. Unfortunately, but it's getting there.
But what is also spread to the east? Western culture, right?
That's right. So
as Western culture expands, we are seeing that they are getting what we are getting. So
there was what was the super chat before the last one, Soda? Could you say that again? I was gonna comment on that. It's about the stepfather that steps up and someone said he's being a hero.
I said he's being a hero.
Yeah, Q said he's here. The super chat is, Drex, you should acknowledge this. You agree that boys raised in fatherless households are at higher risk of failing in life. Don't shame men who step up to fill the shoes of men who failed at being fathers. It's counterproductive.
Okay, let me go ahead and comment on that. So this is how that works. As I've said on other shows with Q and with Nick, women are responsible for three things: birth, reproduction, and evolution. So thus, if a woman winds up being a single mom, one of two things happen if she is not a widow. Only these two things. She chose the wrong man to lay down with and have children with, or she chose the right man and in Western culture, use the family court. It's one or the other. If she's not a widow, so provided the guy didn't die, did she choose the right man? So ask these women, when you met this man, ladies, what kind of man was he? Because, like prime example, you'll see this in our culture every day, in celebrity culture, anywhere you want to look. You'll hear women saying, this man didn't do what he was supposed to do. He was X, Y, and Z. He left us. And it's like, wait a minute. What was this man doing when you met him? What kind of man was he? And when you ask these women tough questions, these men were usually pieces of blank. You see what I'm saying? So if that wasn't the case, did you have a good man that everyone acknowledged? This is a quality man. And then did you take him to the family court?
But I think that goes back to my argument when I said that we don't fully understand. What we have are inept people who don't fully understand who they are, who they're choosing, and understanding the full weight of marriage. And I think that goes back to my original statement. So
Cece, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, to piggyback on what you said, always remember this. Cece, if you represent all women, right? You represent motherhood itself, right? A woman's duty, one of her main duties is to ensure that she procreates with the quality male, right? Who is going to do right by her, by the children, and, if you're a religious person, by God. You see what I'm saying?
That's false. That's false.
What's that?
Hey, I understand that religion is not really your thing, so stay in your lane, bro. If you're going to actually quote religious literature, then quote it properly.
I'm not ready to quote literature.
Hold on.
I wasn't out there trying to do that.
The Bible says, "The man that findeth a wife findeth a good thing." Women aren't supposed to be out here. Are not supposed to be out here looking for. Women are not supposed to be out here looking for men. Okay, men are out here looking for women, and the man is the one who makes that choice. Now, the woman has the right to choose whether or not she doesn't want to be with that man, but women are not supposed to be out here looking for dudes. So
men control relationships, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, remember,
but wait a minute, though. Wait a minute. If men control the relationships, how are women controlling the divorce?
No, women file 80% of divorces. So who's controlling the divorce now? So they're filing.
You're
speaking out of both sides of your mouth, bro.
No, I'm not. Because look,
if men are controlling the relationship,
then he's responsible for that divorce. Is he not correct? Is that not correct? If he's in charge of the entire relationship, isn't he also responsible for it?
I would say yes if no fault divorce did not exist. But because we have no fault divorce, which is demonic, right? So when I say men are responsible, men control relationships, women control reproduction unless, of course, they are taken and now a law has been broken, right? So men control relationships in the sense that if no man says, will you marry me, the marriage rate goes to zero. If every woman says, I'm not going to have babies, the birth rate goes to zero. That's what I'm referring to. Now, when people say, oh, Drex, you need to stay in your lane about this and that, I can talk about staying in lanes. I can start pulling up info on people. You understand what I'm saying? I can go like this. Are these people faithful? I can pull people's spouses on. You understand what I'm saying? And ask them, is this man faithful or is this woman faithful? The answer that you hear more often than not is no. They have talked to another woman or another man. And Ms. Valdez, you said that, right? Even if you're giving him what he wants and what you believe he needs, he can still step out. I can tell you right now with absolute certainty, a main reason why a lot of marriages are, let's just say, disruptive is because the person, either one side or both sides, is looking for more. That more can mean a lot of different things, right? I don't want infidelity going on, but I can promise you this. I said this on Nick Recado's channel. I said, anyone who challenges me, I will put them on blast on site and say this. Pull out the phone and show, are you out there looking for some side action? And I promise you, Ms. Valdez, you know what it's like with these guys out here. You're a single woman. Whether you're not, I'm not saying you're actively dating. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying you are close enough to the culture at large as a single woman to know there's lots of people out there looking for stuff on the side. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's a fallen world.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate, but what I'm saying is
what's your point?
Exactly. That's what I'm waiting for.
So you mean married people are looking for something on the side?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, look, Cece, I don't know if you know this.
But nobody's disputing that.
I'm going to tell you like this. If you were to ask any single man, who is the easiest woman to hook up with?
Okay.
It's a married woman. A married woman in the modern culture, modern Western culture, is the easiest hookup for a single man in 2020 and beyond.
Who are you hanging out with?
I was going to ask. I just need some data. Because it seems so random. It seems so general. And I really do question who you're asking, because I'm not Drexel. I don't get that same impression that you're getting. I don't get that impression. That's not my reality. Truly. I'm really thoroughly enjoying the exchange with you. And I'm telling you, that's not my experience. I just,
look, you brought up single. I get how men are. I agree with you. Okay. I'm going to tell you why. You're right. There's a lot of thirsty hoes on both sides. Absolutely. Married, not married. I mean, thirsty. But that's where, I guess my question is, what is your point? We all know that, because sin is in the world. Right? There's a lot of pedophiles. There's a lot of this. There's a lot of that.
Absolutely. So my point is this: when people are bringing this godly stuff up, right, and they're bringing all these things about marriage, this is yet another risk. Prime example: I was on Q's show last time, and I brought up, I can't remember if it was last time or the time before that, but I brought up something that. Just to piggyback kind of what Cece was saying, that when some people always say, like, Drex, what world do you live in? I'll give you a prime example. When Q and I mentioned on a show, like I said, I don't remember which one it was, about preachers' daughters, it is well known to people who are worldly about preachers' daughters. So when people come up to me and say, it's just the people you're hanging around, Drex, I'm looking around like, are people serious? Like, does no one know this? Does no one know about what's going on? And you said it yourself, Ms. Valdez, you said, when I asked you rhetorically, what do you think was going on, how godless the Christian college was? You were agreeing with me saying, oh, I can imagine.
But
so
that's because I differentiate. Do you know that I would say maybe 75%, maybe 50%, 60% of preachers aren't saved? Because people throw Christian on it, which is why I hate the word Christian. I'm a follower of Christ. I'm a disciple of Christ. Everybody uses the word Christian nowadays. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. Just because you go to a Christian college, I guarantee you 90% of them people ain't Christians. Just because you grow up in a Christian household.
99.
Whatever it is.
I know what you're saying.
Christian. So what I'm saying is do I now abandon my faith in Christ and everything that is biblical and everything that the body of Christ stands for because of the brokenness and the sinfulness of the world that I'm living with? Or do I look at the brokenness and the sinfulness of the world and go, wow, I know how quickly I could become that, but for Christ? Because I know what those colleges are like, because I know what marriages are like without Christ, because I know how the world is without Christ, it makes me all the more go, I want Jesus. I want Jesus. I want Jesus. I don't go to church. I don't go to church because I'm perfect. No, I don't go to a church because I'm perfect. I go to a church because I know just how sinful and selfish and disgusting and wretched I am without Christ. So I go to church to press into Christ, not because I'm trying to put on a facade like, oh, I'm a Christian, I'm better than everybody else. So I think that the body of Christ has to do a better job. I agree with you. The whole church needs a revamp.
They do, absolutely.
And
I agree 100%.
Drexel,
I'll go back to my. Oh, go ahead, Sonia. Go ahead.
Drexel, did you just make a statement that another absolute, of course, that all preachers' daughters?
I didn't say all. I said it's like a comment. Not like, okay, you know, there are certain like stigmas about certain things, right? Like if you see a 6'8", well-built black guy who's 20 years old, you just assume he probably plays basketball, right?
No. That's what I'm saying. No,
I don't. But
come on now, like people,
no.
But you would not. People would if he was walking through.
One of my daughter-in-laws, her dad was a preacher, missionary. 3 girls, all of them godly women, stay-at-home wives, love their husbands, are still on their first marriage, and they love Jesus. He only had 3 girls and a son, but all 3 of them have not excellent, very, very good character.
No, here's what I'm saying to you. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that when someone says that being Christian doesn't mean perfection. In fact, it is all about, our Savior actually was for the wretched. Okay. It wasn't for the perfect people. And so I think it is, again, my statement in the beginning of when you're talking about with marriage, with regard to divorce, is that you have two imperfect people, right? Who perhaps went into something with really great intentions, and for whatever reason, it didn't work out. But Christian does not mean perfect. That I think that, because of your experience when you were younger with regard to your experience and what you saw in Christians and in church, those are imperfect people. Okay. So there has to be, if I were to marry you, if you and I were to be together, I go into this marriage and we fully know each other, and I know my role as a woman, and I know what your expectations are, and I fully agree to those expectations. I still enter in a marriage with you, understanding that you, Drexel, are not perfect, and I, CC Davis, am not perfect, right? But I'm entering into this knowing that I am now going from CC Davis to CC Yarbrough. Is that your last name? Johnson
Yarbrough.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm joining your clan, but we are two imperfect people, right? And so Christian doesn't mean perfect. And I think that statement needs to be made and fully understood. Does not mean perfect. It does.
Yeah, people aren't perfect. Well, now, Cece, here's my issue. Here's been my fundamental issue, and I'm sure you would agree with this. I just, being the way you talk, I'm sure you'll agree. My biggest issue with people, and Ms. Valdez, same thing, with using that Christian denomination is not that they're Christian or claim to be Christian. My issue is it's the hypocrisy, right? They grandstand saying one thing. Like I said, I'm not just saying Christian. I'm saying a lot of people who use their religion as a shield. You see what I'm saying? And they use the religion as a shield. They say, I'm this, I'm Jewish, I'm Christian, I'm Catholic. And yet, when you get to know these people and what kinds of things they're doing, you say, wait a minute. You see what I'm saying? Whereas I know dudes and women who are just truly wretched people, right? But they don't make apologies. They go, look, I know I'm a bad person. And they'll say, I try to be better.
1,000%. 1,000%. Let me get a little vulnerable real quick without giving you my life story. My ex-husband, okay? 6'4", 230 pounds, bodybuilder, okay? Ushered at the church, right? Okay? Very charismatic man. Every time we went to the gym, everybody was up his butt. Everywhere he goes, everybody liked him, right? Super charismatic. This is the same man that left me pregnant, okay? He goes and does his thing, goes live la vida loca, whatever, okay? He's married, right? He's with another woman, and he goes on social media with another woman and puts on his social media. Okay, sorry, my child. He puts on social media, man of God. You stand up and be a man of God. If you are in a marriage, you fight for that person. You do this, right? Okay. And then he puts mic drop. Okay. But his wife is somewhere, God knows where, his baby's. Okay. So if anybody can sympathize with you about the hypocrisy, you want to know, you want to get me to go 50% Christian quick, is show me a hypocrite like that, because I don't tolerate it. Preachers do this. I'm with you. There are thousands of preachers out there on the pulpit right now with all the political issues going on. Oh, we love God, right? But nothing about them is Christ.
Nothing.
So I'm with you 100%, 1,000%. I'm with you on that, which is why I pray daily on my knees. Lord, give me discernment. Give me wisdom so that I can see these wolves in sheep's clothing. Okay. That's why I agree with you. But my thing is, from me to you, single to single, I told God, look, I could be single till I die. If that's what you have for me, Lord, then that's what you have for me. I'm not going to die because I'm single. You're not going to die because you're single. Some people are called to singleness. But if you're called to singleness, that is where I think you and I, or Sonia and you, or a lot of us and you, we have to come to a place where there's a fork in the road. At the end of the day, is your goal to completely serve and honor God to the best of your abilities with every decision you make. Lean not on your own understanding, right? But in all your ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your paths. Is your goal to acknowledge him, and in acknowledging him, accept his blessings on your life? Or are you going to continue? Am I going to continue? Because, bro, I'm lying to you if I don't tell you I don't struggle with that. I still have fear. I still go, I'm good off of marriage. Y'all ain't happy. Stop playing around. Stop with your little facade on Facebook. You ain't happy. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to live in fear for the rest of my life and possibly miss out on a blessing? So everything aside, I'm not here to convince you of anything. Just like I'm not trying to convince somebody about you. You're going to believe what you want to believe. You're going to do what you want to do. And the great thing about it is it's your life and you have to live with your decisions. I don't. Right. But what I'm saying to you as a person with compassion, are you willing to miss out on what could possibly be a blessing? What if God was telling the truth when he said in Jeremiah 29:11, my plans are not to harm you, but to prosper you? What if he does have a blessing for you beyond your wildest dreams, something you could never imagine, and you're blocking it? You're allowing the enemy to use everything that you see and fear to keep blocking that blessing for you in your life. Are you willing to live with that?
But your ex is still a man of God, regardless of what he did. And so I think this is where we're splitting. So we're missing the point. So I'm saying that you can't, and Drexel, you can forgive me for, because we're gonna get religious here. So my Christianity, okay, and this is not on the side of what we're talking about. I promise it's relative. My Christianity isn't defined by my sins and my failures, okay? So if I sin, that doesn't mean I'm not a Christian. So I think we keep doing this where we say, well, he was supposed to be a Christian, but I saw him, stealing, so therefore he's not one. No,
the Bible does say that we will know them by their fruits. And if the tree bears no fruit, then that tree is fruitless.
Right, but if he continues in that behavior, that's one thing, but you can't lose your salvation. You can't lose it.
Correct, which is why I would go as far to say he was never saved.
Right. Okay, there you go. Because I was just going to say, so
I don't believe you can lose your salvation. But that's also goes to your point, Drexel. Absolutely. I don't pursue man. Never in my life have I pursued a man. But yes, when the thing of it is everybody thinks only God can bring pretty. No, the devil can bring pretty too. Okay, so yeah, I agree with you. Did I choose the right person? Did I choose to ignore red flags? Absolutely. You're right on that. A lot of times we do that. And that's the reason everybody's ending up in divorce.
I believe so.
Drexel, at the end of the day, the problem is this. You keep complaining about the problem and saying that it's irresolvable. And that is because you don't like the solution. The solution.
No, I've always said I had a solution.
No, I'm going to finish. The solution is this. The foundation is the Lord. That's where you're going to have to start, and it's called a relationship with the Lord. Perfection, no. But just because you don't like the solution, you can't complain about the problem.
No, here's the thing, though, Miss Mama Q. My solution is not the same as other people's religion. I don't want a return to patriarchy because I believe it's outdated. What will happen is we'll get right back to where we are, which is a feminist world, right? A godless world. Everything happens in cycles. Rome, everything that we're experiencing right now, Mama Q, Rome has already been there, right? Ancient Rome collapsed. They had no fault divorce. They had all this degeneracy, pop culture. Back then, do you know what they called it? They called it goddess worship. What do we see now? Social media. What is social media? Goddess worship, right? Selfie. Explicit pictures, explicit videos. So we're seeing a full circle to the same harlotry, whether it be Sodom and Gomorrah, ancient Rome, whether it be ancient Egypt, ancient Greece. Now here we are in the same boat. And so there's that old saying that they say, good men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create bad times, right? We will always reset. As long as there is patriarchy, we will always reset to where we're at now, which is the complete de-evolution of society, culture, and the breakdown of the nuclear family. Because women will always get empowered at some point because weak men will enable the worst traits in women. Are women inherently bad? No. But if someone encourages them to act on their worst impulses, we'll get what we have now. I don't want that. I wish for mankind to evolve. And I believe part of the reason, or one of the things that we need to evolve as a species, is the total eradication of marriage.
Yeah. So we've already gone past our time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna clear out probably half of our subscribers now, and I hope not, but I'm just gonna spit the facts. You guys know me. You guys know I'm always gonna be honest with y'all and keep it a buck. The problem that we have is not necessarily the fact that marriage sucks or that marriage is the problem. Marriage isn't the problem. People are the problem. Okay. I said on this show, and I'll say it again, I do not believe that absolute morality can exist outside of God. If you do not have a relationship with God, I do not believe that you are a moral person. I do not believe that you can be a moral person. You can do moral things. You can maintain a certain level. You can maintain a certain level of morality for a short period of time, but you cannot live a moral life because that is not within our nature as human beings. Our human nature does not allow us to be moral. Because everything in me wants to be selfish. Everything in me wants to put myself above everything else. Okay. I will also go so far as to say, yes, you're absolutely right. Marriage was instituted by God. If you don't like that, then, hey, you don't like God, you don't believe in God, then all right, stay away from his institution. Okay. If you want marriage without God's institution, then call it something else, do something else. All right. But marriage will not work unless it is anchored to something greater. My wife and I, we buried a child. The statistics say that most people that go through a loss of a child will get divorced. Okay. Our relationship has strengthened in that. It almost ended. I'm not going to lie to you. It was tough, but we made it through it because we were anchored to something greater than ourselves. So I will say you cannot have absolute morality outside of Christ, just being honest with you. And you cannot have a good marriage outside of a relationship with Christ, and also having a relationship that is anchored to something greater than yourself. I'm not proselytizing you. I am simply saying that you cannot have your cake and eat it too. I understand where Drex is coming from. I get it. And with his worldview, I can see how you get to that point. I get it. And I'm sorry that so many Christians have failed you. That sucks. And I also had the same experience, tried a Christian college, and it turned me off from Christianity. And I almost never went back to church again. Well, I still haven't really gone back to church itself. I left religion alone. I can't stand religion. So I will say that I don't like religious people. So I will agree with you on that. But as far as my relationship goes, it does keep me close to Scripture. But I do agree with the panel. We got to stay away from absolutes. There are good women out there. And if you truly are looking, and if you are truly looking for the right things, we live in this ridiculous world, man. This ridiculous world. We live in a world that glorifies Cardi B, right? Yep. But puts down the woman who is trying to the Amy Coney Barretts of the world, right? The mom who is adopting children and trying to raise children properly. We put that person down, but we glorify the woman who comes out talking about WAP, right? So we have a culture that puts down things that are good and elevates things that are evil and wicked and awful. So we have to have a discussion about how do we change culture, right? And that's not a conversation we can even begin to have today. And I didn't expect that we would actually come away from this thinking, all right, well, we got Drex figured out and we got him fixed. It's no fixing anything. But the real reason for me having you on the show was not necessarily to change you, but it was to give both sides. Me and you having a discussion about women is really unfair if there aren't women here. And so I appreciate the women coming, the woman who started it all for me, Mama Q, thank you so much for being here. Miss Rosalina, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm sorry that Drex got under your skin a little bit, but
no, If he was my son, shut
disrespect. and Miss Cece, are you still with us? Okay.
She kind of was going like on and off.
Yeah, we might have lost Miss Cece, but hey, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Super chats.
I think we got a couple of super chats we got to get through. Go ahead, Soda. Let's finish up these super chats.
First up, TLJ Screwjob for $1. My parents became born again Christians, and I never saw them happier. They still got divorced a few years later. Oh, that's sad. That is sad. Always sad when a divorce happens. Architect of Fate, $3. Drexel, is that what we waited for months getting a streaming setup? And here we got you from a phone with lighting that only enforces the stereotype.
Oh, you guys are on it tonight.
When are you gonna start your channel, by the way?
It's coming. So Soda, I even have the room cleaned out. So it's soundproofing now. So we're soundproofing it.
Well, you're trying to go professional first? No. That's not how you started. You started in a very echoey office first, and then slowly work your way up. Up next, Anti-Venom. Sure, you can say the women have them. Let me start over again. Sure, you can say the women made a mistake by having kids with the wrong guy, but you are dodging the point, Drex. A man who steps in to make sure those kids do not become a pox upon society doesn't deserve degradation or shame.
That's one of the things I think is missing from society, Soda. We need more degradation and shame.
But we're degrading society. But we're degrading the wrong person. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So the system that enables it is the source of the problem. So like.
But you are the system that enables it, though.
Am I?
Remember what you called my husband?
Yeah, a cook.
Oh boy.
But I will end by saying this, guys. If you are getting married, okay, all right. But let me finish this real quick. I will tell anybody in the chat, anybody out here who is considering marriage is for grown-ups. Don't do it unless you have counted the cost. Okay, it is for grown-ups. It is a full contact sport, and you have to work on it on a daily basis. But it is worth it. It is 100% worth it. But I will also say, I've seen people put more thought into the car that they buy than the person that they choose to spend the rest of their life with.
That's good.
Right? I agree with you, too. 100%.
And so the number one, meet her mama. Meet her mama. Because if we're going to quote scripture, as the mother, so is the daughter. Okay. Does she have a good relationship with her father? That has a whole lot to do with it as well.
Absolutely does.
Does she only hang out with females? Does she only hang out with males? I don't get along with women. Red flag number 2. Okay. Or number 3. But the other part of it is this. You need to get to know who you guys are. You need to get to know each other's worldviews. If you're going to tell me, oh, well, my girlfriend, she's a socialist. We're getting married and I'm a capitalist. And I know that sounds crazy, but I talk to people all the time that have such diametrically opposed worldviews. How do you think that's going to end? You have to have a worldview that is going to be compatible. Right. And so I would say before you make a decision like that, I think we need to in a world with microwave popcorn and drive-through weddings, right? We can't expect to get anything other than what we've already gotten. We see the divorce rate being what it is, but people go into it on a whim. Oh man, she looked good. Man, she got that good. I'm gonna marry that. Okay, well, you marry that,
we get what we honor.
And she gets pregnant, and she gets hormonal, and you're going someplace else to somebody who's not pregnant, not hormonal, because there was never anything of substance drawing you two together. So I say, look for the substance, take time, decide what it is that you really, really want. Make sure that what she really, really wants are compatible before you make that decision. But I do believe that marriage in 2020 is still a wonderful thing, but it does require a whole lot more thought and a whole lot more consideration than what we give it. So, Soder, let's go ahead and finish those.
Pest underscore for $1.99. How about them Buccaneers? Right? Woo! Well,
how about them
right
Vikings?
Hey.
And I think we might have Cece back.
Okay.
Do we?
She's muted, so.
Yeah.
Maybe not. All right. And finally, unless something else comes in, Anti-Venom for $2. Not sure if you're joking, Q, but don't worry about lost subscribers. Be yourself and your fans will know the real you, not the showman, and you'll never disappoint them. Never worry about making someone mad with your opinions, lest you become a sociopath. Joke's on him, I already am.
Drexel, I'm going to throw you a lifeline. Quincy can give you our address, and I'm willing for you to come over to our house, and we can raise you again. Okay.
Oh, you're funny. You know what though? Honestly though, Mama Q, of course I would decline it. Plus, I love my parents as much as I can, even though they got on me for all kinds of things. But I truly adapted to the world that is, right? So like I said, I had nothing against anyone on the panel, anyone in the chat, and I know that Ms. Valdez and I may have had a couple of tense moments, and that's unfortunate. It's just discussion, right? There's nothing. I have no personal thing against you.
No.
But I do want to say this though. It's good for people who are very different to talk, because maybe we see different things. You see what I'm saying? Like, I bet you if I came down to wherever you are, Ms. Valdez, and we talked about your life story, I talked about mine, we would kind of maybe see some similarities and differences, and we can learn from those, right? And also, I look at the culture that exists today. And when I tell guys, remember, my thing, this is especially for you, Mama Q, I tell young men out there who are considering marriage, I'm speaking more for the rule, not the exception. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, based on all, whether it be statistics, like I said, there are three ways to prove points. Statistics, anecdotal, right? You have the anecdotal stuff, and then you have the lived experience, right? Of what other people have said, what things you've seen. So when you add up all these things, right? And you say, what do I see every day? I'm sure all of us can agree we've been out and about eating dinner and seeing a couple where they barely speak. You see what I'm saying? We've all seen someone who's divorced. Everyone on this panel knows someone who's divorced, right? And
you do now.
You're right. But you see what I'm saying? And no one wants people out here getting divorced, right? So all I'm going on is I'm saying, look, I know there are people out there whose marriages do work, and if it works for you, just like religion, I'm not the religious type, and like you said, I don't even like a lot of times that word even kind of makes me kind of in. Now, like you said, Ms. Valdez, if you are a practicing believer, I think that's a better term than someone going, I'm religious. And I raise an eyebrow when I hear people talk about how religious they are. You see what I'm saying? So just because I disagree and we may have a tense moment or something, here's a great irony.
What?
The irony is it's guys like me who actually defend people like you in the panel. Yeah. Hence how Nick Recato and I are such close friends. On the surface, you would think these guys can't be friends. Drex and Q have strong disagreements about things. I still go to bat for people that are very dissimilar to me, and that includes Mama Q. If I heard someone talk bad about Mama Q, I would actually go after them. And they're like, but Drex, I thought you didn't agree with Mama Q. It's like, look, man, I can still respect it. I can respect Mama Q and her views. I can respect Q and his views. I don't have to always agree. We can even vehemently be at odds. But we need to work. Everyone has to work together to make the world a better place. And what I'm telling you guys is that the world I see is a destructive place. I don't want it to be, but it is. And I'm saying I view marriage as a destructive force. I'm not saying that obviously you guys don't agree with me, but I'm just saying as currently instituted, right? So all I'm saying is if young men are out here to get married, and Q was talking about how men approach women. Q, you and I have talked extensively about things like Me Too. Just approaching a woman can land you in jail based on where you are in the Western world. You see what I'm saying? I don't want that, Mama Deruji. I don't want that. You see what I'm saying? We have a world that's just so twisted that Q said, Q, you and I have talked about this. Up is down, down is up now, right? The most evil things are promoted and celebrated. And the things that are quality, that are good, is vilified. And that's not good. You see what I'm saying? So do
you see how it's also twisted? Because we can sit there and uplift a woman, like, what was that super chat? What did he say? Single moms are completely trash or disvalue. You can take a woman like me, who is a single woman who has 2 kids, but who lives in a way that honors the Lord, and basically say such ignorant statements like you're devalued, you're garbage, you're trash, which, by the way, the enemy can use people like that to take a woman and just put her in the pits. Truly, when you're broken and you've been abused, words like that, if for a woman who doesn't have her identity in Christ, can really put her in a very low place. So shame on you, whoever the heck you are, because you're very ignorant. But yet we can uplift women, who are in these music videos. Some of them may not have kids. I've had conversations with women that were low, that were just like, oh, well, you've been divorced, you got 2 kids, you're a baby mama, things like that. And it's like, well, baby, just because you've never been married, what you've been with, 23 dudes, 62 dudes,
Facts.
Don't make you a better woman or a more virtuous woman than me because I have 2 children and I tried to do it God's way. So the entire perspective is disgusting and twisted.
I agree.
You put women down like me, no support for single moms who are trying to, but then you'll uplift the little twerker on the pole, because, hey, she ain't got no kids. It's all backwards.
I agree.
So, well, hold on. I don't mean to interrupt you, Miss Rosalina, but so Drex made a comment. Drex said he agreed with me that we live in a world that elevates bad behavior, right? Mm-hmm. And tears down good behavior, right? Mm-hmm. So, as in a world where a man who attempts to step in to raise and be a father to the fatherless, we call that guy a cuck. Yet the guy who left gets a pass.
I didn't give him a pass. I said right from the jump. Okay, I have no respect for a deadbeat dad.
Okay. To hell with the guy who left. To hell with that guy, because that guy it doesn't even warrant our discussion.
He's not a man.
He's not a man.
Yep.
But would you rather have someone say you're not a man and be void of all responsibility, or would you rather step up, attempt to be a father to children who don't have one, and be called a cuck?
Me personally, I never would. However, I will say this though, Q. We need to have a society where these men are not stepping out. So if you ask me, what would be the best case scenario? We all agree.
I'm not asking you for your opinion on the best case scenario. I'm asking you, how can you, in one voice, say that we are in a society where we elevate bad behavior, but then you and tear down good behavior, but then turn around and say that a man who steps up to be a father to the fatherless is a cuck?
Listen, a good thing is for a nuclear family. So when you say, well, this guy's considered a cuck, that's my viewpoint, right? But understand where I'm coming from with that. If someone says, well, Drex, you're demonizing that guy. No. What I'm saying is, this is how this man is going to be likely viewed in terms of he will a step parent rarely gets the respect of the natural parent. Okay. Can it happen where they do? Sure, it can. But what I'm saying is we need the nuclear family. So if someone says, well, don't you want this guy to step in? No. My point is this, Q. There shouldn't be a need for this guy to step in because the family should stay intact. And if they do break up, if Miss Valdez breaks up with her husband, he should be man enough to stay in the children's picture. You see what I'm saying? I'm not with my child's mother, right? But you've been around my daughter, Q. My daughter knows who her dad is. Yeah, she's actually coming in another day, right? And she'll be here all week. She'll be here the next week, and for MEA. Like, so my daughter has never questioned.
If her mom gets married, her husband shouldn't be a father figure to your daughter?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's not his job. His devotion is not to a child who already has a father. That's my job. Absolutely not. Now, I will say this though, Mama Q. To your point, to Q's point, if I didn't exist, if I just wasn't in the picture, right? I was an absentee father. I understand where you're coming from. That the guy should, or if he's choosing to, so-called step up. You see what I'm saying? But what I'm telling you, Mama Q, is that I'm in my daughter's life. All right? I never left.
And maybe
my
your
ex in
daughter
the
could be
state
better.
tries to.
Maybe she could be a better person by having two men that love her, that are in her life.
It's possible. Maybe. I don't know. My ex, to my knowledge, I don't know anything about her being in a relationship or being married. If she does, I'll support her. I'm not going to doubt her. Like, if she gets married, listen, if Miss Valdez finds the right man and gets married, I'm going to be clapping. If you invite me to the wedding, I mean, I won't, because I don't believe in going to weddings. But I hope.
That ship has sailed, bro.
Yeah.
You hope. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, I am rooting for people.
Not unless you got a tuxedo and you can cut a mean prime rib. It's the only way you get in there.
There it is. But my thing is, but Q, I'm rooting for everybody. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for all the ladies on the panel, and that includes Miss Valdez, even as a single mother. I know I can be harsh and I can seem cruel, but understand where it comes from.
It's not harsh and cruel. It's just what I'm saying to you is that sometimes I'm the same way. And that's where, being as a Christian woman, like, I have so much respect for Q after meeting him today, because the way you carry yourself, with poise. I tend to be more on the other end, where when I get in a discussion, I can keep self-control, but I've had to learn to watch what I say, because there's a difference between speaking truth and there's a difference between speaking truth and love. I do resent your comment to me that was, you're not as valuable because you have two kids. Now, do I believe that? No, I'm not going to lose sleep over it, because I know the truth. But it's unkind. There's nothing, and there's no truth to it. Now, you may sit there and go, you are, in my opinion, you're valuable, because I would never be with a woman who has two kids. And yet here you are, a single father, and I don't look at you with any less value than half of these bums I've met without kids. Mm-hmm. Just because you have a daughter does not mean suddenly your value goes down here. No. So, yeah, we can have a discussion, but I just think that there's a way you talk to people and address people. Like, I'm not going to call a stepfather who raised a child who wasn't his own a cuss or a bum or whatever new word of the day you call him. I'm going to look at a man like that. This is a woman's perspective. A man may care about a man's perspective. From what I've seen in society, men give a crap what women think. I think it's sexy to see a man, not that I have one in mind, but who is willing to say, you know what, I'm going to step in and raise two kids that I didn't create, are not my responsibility. It's easy to be a man to your child. You don't deserve a trophy for it because you're doing what you're supposed to do. Why is it everybody applauds a man for being a father? You're supposed to be that. But a man who goes and steps in to be a father to some kids that aren't, he doesn't have to do that. There's nothing. So to me, he's more, I wouldn't say more of a man, but just as much as a man, as a biological father, because he's going above and beyond what he was called to do, to go into some other child's life and put himself out there. That takes more. That takes more. That's why I me being a stepmother, I'm not saying I'm trying to be a stepmother if that's what God has for me, but I'm not lying. I love my two kids. I don't know how I could love other kids like my own. That's being real. So to see a man being willing to do that for kids that's a beautiful thing. I have the highest of respect for men like that. Mm-hmm. To do what another man couldn't, that is, that is.
Or wouldn't. So here's the thing. I get where you're coming from, Rosalina. And what I'm saying is this. how men and women view value is completely different. So my comment to you earlier was not meant to denigrate you in any way. I'm telling you, I'm not saying like, oh, this is my opinion. When I say a woman with children is, remember what I said, I didn't say you were less valued as a human, as a woman. I said what? In terms of dating, you see what I'm saying? On the relationship market, you see what I'm saying?
That's not what I see.
So that's not that. So will you get men to give you attention or want to be with you, sleep with you, or whatever? Absolutely, because you're an attractive woman. So don't take this the wrong way. But what I'm saying is, a single mother to a man is always going to be less valuable from a man's perspective, right? Than a woman without children. Now, to go to your point, if you're talking about these Tatianas who have body counts in the triple digits, she has zero value. So you see what I'm saying? Like, so it does. There is a scale. You see what I'm saying?
Well, so, it's a good thing I don't look to a man's perspective and I look to God's, because these little are funny.
People can have their perspective. It's no different than if a guy is 19 years old, he's flat broke, working a dead end job while going to school. He is, to women, he's basically useless because his ability to what? Provide and protect is very low. You see what I'm saying? But a 19-year-old woman who is broke but beautiful and going to school is highly valuable. You see what I'm saying? Especially when she has no kids. But you see what I'm saying? So what the sexes look for in a partner is opposite. You see what I'm saying? Like a billionaire can walk to a store right now, see an 18-year-old girl who's a barista at Starbucks. He can wipe her up. It doesn't work the other way around. What we look at each other for are opposite. You see what I'm saying? You want a dominant man. A man wants a submissive woman. Why would a woman want a submissive man? So when something hits the fan, she's going to say, hey, oh, that's right. You want me to step up and be the man. Well, she wants to respect him. If she doesn't respect him, she cannot love him. So understand, I'm not out here denigrating people. I'm telling people the harsh truths of the dating market. And I've had women who have argued with me and said, oh, that's not true, Drex, because I have a bunch of guys in my DMs. I'm like, are they trying to put a ring on it or just sleep with you? You see what I'm saying? I don't want women out here increasing high body counts. That's not what I want. I'm out here telling women this is how the modern, demonic, godless world is. I didn't create this world. I'm just living in and adapting to it. You see what I'm saying?
Oh.
And Drexel, remember I want you to remember this. We get what we honor.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm taking back that lifeline.
The adoption is off the table, bro.
There it is.
We can't be stepbrothers. All right, but hey,
we do have one more super chat because
of course you do. So do your killer.
Andy Venom hates me, I guess. Says he wants me to suffer. All right, Andy Venom for $2. Drex, you said you never would step in to raise another man's kids if he's out of the picture. Let's say he died. Go ahead and make my point for me by explaining why.
I still wouldn't, because another person's children is not my responsibility. Now, if I knew the person, let's say, God forbid, my beloved friend Nick Rekieta passed in some horrible way, unexpectedly. If the question is, would I step in? Yes, because he's my friend. You see what I'm saying? Like I already have a pre-existing relationship with Nick. I know his wife. I know his children. That is different than I met this woman. You see what I'm saying? So the whole idea of being a woman as a widow is different than stepping in to a family that's already established and then so-called stepping in or stepping up based on what you want to say. That is different. A woman who is an actual widow, she didn't divorce, the guy didn't run off, she's a widow. That is different. But me personally, I would never step in or step up or do anything involving taking care of another man's offspring. Absolutely not.
Sounds like a lot of mental gymnastics, bro.
I would say go start adopting. Anyone who disagrees with me, I want to see adoption papers. I want to see everybody step up and start adopting kids. I won't. So anyone who disagrees, Hugh, when we get up this show, you better start adopting some kids. Multiple.
I don't need
one,
to
multiple.
Well, I mean, I don't think adoption's for me. I wouldn't say a man has to step up.
Step up. Step in.
This whole evening for me has been
I feel like this whole
both sides.
conversation has brought my IQ down at least 20 points. I'm out.
Okay.
Seriously, I'm out.
Hey, bye, Mama Q. It's nice talking to you.
I see both sides saying kind of the same things and a little bit past each other, like needing men to step up, or not that in particular, but we need strong men, and men need to be strong. That's what women look for. Like, well, you just said the same thing. Okay, another super chat.
Just to answer,
two super chats. No, guys.
Hold on. Just if I do adopt, I'm adopting a kid from Scandinavia. We've already had that.
We talked about that. We talked about it already.
I'm adopting the most blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid I can find. I won't adopt a redhead just because, obvious reasons. But
yes, they don't have souls. And who wants a null in the family? Anti-Venom for $10. Okay, sorry for the additional chat, but please show this on stream since people don't like to read up on entomology. And finally, Ricada Law for $10. You what, mate? Which I think is in response to you
raising his children and wifing Lady Racket.
I'll never do that. Never do that. I would never disrespect the corpse of Nick Ricada like that.
Man, Mama Q, you see how quick he put on the ice skates? He's hustling backwards. Yeah, we all heard what you said. We all heard what you said.
Your friend, you can't be wiping up your friends.
We all heard what you said, man. You hustling backwards now. All right. Do it. All jokes to the side. Hey, thank you guys so much. Hey, those of you guys that are in the chat, if you are not currently subscribed to Out of the Darkness, please make sure you subscribe before you shut off. And also like the video. I don't know if you want to share it, but share some of the other stuff. I don't know if you want to share this. Don't introduce people to Out of the Darkness with this stream. But thank you for the awesome panel. I appreciate it. Mama Q, thank you for your discretion and for not reaching through the camera. I appreciate that. Miss Rosalina, thank you so much for taking the time with us to visit. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Drex, always interesting to have you on. The chat loves you. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. We will see you guys on the other side. Thank you. Have a great night.
Good night, everybody. Nice to meet you.
And just so he stops, I'm going to show this. This is something Anti-Venom wanted me to show.
What is that? History of the...
the word often implies to see unaware and faithfulness and may not know until arrival of growth of a child. Okay.
The definition of the term cuck.
Yeah. Cuckoo is in with the bird swoops in and is basically taking care of someone else's kids. Yeah, it has a long history, but it's man. Taking care of other people's kids. If you don't know, like if someone says taking care of your brother's kids or your friend's kids, I think that is a different story entirely than I met this woman who already has kids and I'm taking no way.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
All right. Well, hey, have a great night, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Have a good night.
We'll see you guys next time.
All right.
Join us next time on Christian Blood Sports, Sundays at 9.